Majorly, I have taken part in the creation of the CI/CD pipeline. I have created the CI/CD pipeline from the scratch, and some I and my team have updated according to the requirements. I have taken care for writing the shell scripts for manual and repetitive tasks. I have written the shell scripts for monitoring the disk space, monitoring the disk space, monitoring the CPU usage, and monitoring the services whether they are running or not. And then I have also managed, in case of deployment, I have managed deployments to QA, UAT, and production environment. As a major cloud platform, I have worked on AWS on services like VPC, EC2, S3, IAM, IAM roles, and ELB and auto scaling. I have provisioned the AWS resources using the Terraform, and the other tools which I have worked on are the Docker, wherein I have written the Docker files to reduce the image size using the Docker multi-stage. I have worked on the Kubernetes, wherein we have done the deployments using the rolling update strategy. And I have worked on Ansible, wherein I have a fair understanding of Ansible roles and Ansible playbooks. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, can you explain the CI/CD pipeline that you have created?
Sure.
How it works?
CI/CD pipeline, like we have used GitHub as our source code and repository, and then we have used the Kubernetes as our target platform. And whenever the we have whenever the developer would commit the code in the respective branch, it would trigger the Jenkins pipeline. We had used the GitHub webhooks so that the trigger would happen immediately whenever the developer would commit the source code, commit in the branch. So in the CI/CD we had different stages. The first stage was the Git checkout stage, which would check out the source code from the GitHub repository. And then in the second stage we had the build. In the build stage we had used the mostly we had the Java based web application itself. That is, we had made use of Maven as a build tool, which was as the second stage was the Maven stage, the build stage, which was this build stage would create the artifacts in jar or war files. And then we had used the before this we had used the SonarQube also in SonarQube plugin. This was quality check it was doing on the source code, whether it has code smell or vulnerabilities or any bugs. And then we were doing the build, and then after the build we were doing the we had used the Docker as the to push our image to the to first create the image and then push it to the Docker hub. And then we had used the this was about the CI part, and then for the CD part we had a different pipeline wherein we had done the deployments to the Kubernetes, and we had integrated this with the Argo CD, so that whenever any commit happens in this in the CD in any branch of the CD where the file was there, then it would automatically trigger the Argo CD was automatically triggering and doing the deployments to the Kubernetes cluster. And the Kubernetes cluster which we had used was on the on-prem itself. We had the master node and the worker nodes wherein the deployment was done.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you created master and worker configuration in Jenkins?
Balchadar, can you please come again?
Have you created master and slave configuration in Jenkins?
There was a separate team for creating the master and the worker node. We were using just the agents to run on the machines on where we wanted to run, but I have not configured that actually. But I have a fair idea of setting up how the master and slave is done. We become the root user first, and then we add the slave machine, and then we generate the keys, and then in the authorized keys we we put the keys of the this, and then in this is all done in the slave server, and in the master server again, for example, we became the root user first, and then in the varlib Jenkins we do the we go to the .ssh, and then we in the known hosts we copy the keys. Like I have a fair idea of how it is done, but I have not. There was a separate team for creating the master and the worker nodes, master and the slaves.
Okay, so fine.
Yes.
What are all the plugins that we have worked on Jenkins?
I have worked on different plugins like SonarQube plugin, Docker plugin, and then the Gearman plugin, and there are different plugins I have worked on, OS per dependency check. These are all the plugins I have been working on.
Can you explain me why we use Gearman plugin?
Gearman plugin, say for example, we have the master running on one server, and if the master goes down, then it has to Gearman plugin allows us to add additional master servers, so that if the Jenkins job fails on one server, we can run the Jenkins job on another server automatically.
Okay, that's
Yes.
good. Yes. Okay, what are all the services that you work on AWS?
I have worked on IAM service. I have worked on VPC, EC2, Lambda function, ELB, and auto scaling. These are some of the services I have worked on.
Okay, can you tell me how auto scaling will work?
Auto scaling, for example, if we have any application running on instances, and if it's getting more traffic, so we can create an auto scaling group, and we can mention the number of EC2 instances to scale up, so that the application will be running on those many number of instances, like if the load is more. So we can auto scale to run the application on multiple EC2 machines, and then scale down depending on if the load comes down.
Okay.
Yes.
Suppose there is a scenario like we are not able to do the SSH connection to another server.
Okay.
Like what are all you will check for that to make that work?
You are not able to. Can you please come again?
When user wants to do the SSH connection to the another server.
Okay.
But is not able to do. Like what are all the errors you will check, and how you will troubleshoot that?
Firstly, we can go to the security groups and check whether the access is there, and we'll check with the PPK or that is the key which is generated, and then the exact to do the SSH, we basically require the in the .ssh folder we have the public keys and the private keys and the authorized keys, and in the and if you want to push it, then we make use of git push, and if you have made any changes after this in the central repository after cloning, then to bring it in the local repository we make use of git pull.
Okay, then what is git stash?
Fine. Say for example, you are working on some code, and you are working on some code, and that code is in a particular branch, and if there is any critical issue and on some other branch, then before checking out to that branch which has an issue, so you'll just save your work by stashing it into some temporary memory. So to do that, we do the git add dot and then save our work, and then do the git stash, so that we are not commit. This avoids the committing on the wrong branches. So we go after doing the stash, we go to the branch which has an issue, resolve that issue, and then come back here and then pop it, and then continue doing our work. Yes.
what is VPC peering?
If we have VPCs in different regions, say for example, and if we want to connect all these VPCs together, then we make use of VPC peering.
Do you have any aware about the transit gateways?
Transit gateways. Yes, say for example, if there are three regions, region A, B, and C, if they want to connect to each other, then they can do it using the transit gateways. Like I have no deeper knowledge in that, but the transit gateways are this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Suppose there is a scenario like I want to allocate the users to access only in India, not other states. Like what routing policy will you choose for that?
You want? Can you please
To
come in?
access an application, or suppose there is an application that need to be accessed only in India.
Mm-hmm.
Which routing policy will you use for that?
We can make use of the roles. No, sorry, I don't have an idea.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We can use geolocation routing policy
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
we can.
Correct. Yes. I now remember it. Yes, we can do it using that geo routing policy.
Okay. Can you explain me about S3 bucket?
Sure. S3 bucket has nothing but they are the object level storage devices. We can do the maximum capacity is 5 TB, and we can have like for one user we have we can have 100 buckets, and then there are three types of S3 buckets, that is infrequent, standard, and glacier. There are some naming conventions according to which we have to name the S3 buckets, and they are all the S3 buckets are the naming convention is global, and but the S3 buckets are region specific.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of file system it will store? What kind of file systems we can store in S3 bucket?
Like we can store any type of files in S3 bucket.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you explain me the configuration for the static web hosting by using S3 bucket?
Sorry?
Can you explain me the static web hosting by using S3 bucket? How you will configure that?
No, Balchandra, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Have you any experience with the Terraform? Do you have any experience?
Yeah, I have experience on Terraform. I
have you created any kind of resources or infrastructures by using Terraform?
Yes, I have created, I have provisioned the there was I have provisioned, basically in my company, in my work, I have provisioned the EC2 instances, but there can be a lot there is a lot of scope for Terraform in provisioning the resources. Like we can provision the entire website itself using the different resources. We can use the modules to reuse our code. So I have a fair knowledge of Terraform, wherein I had in my use case I have done the provisioning of the EC2 instances, and also removing of those using the Terraform destroy. There is this life cycle of Terraform that Terraform init, plan, apply, and destroy. So using which we can work on Terraform. And basically Terraform, there is a provider block and the resource block. In the provider block we mentioned the cloud provider, and then we mentioned the region, and in the resource block we mentioned the resources which we want to provision, and we apply the command and we run the commands to provision our resources.
Okay. suppose I created a resources by using Terraform,
Okay.
and someone created the resources like manually in the AWS account.
Okay.
How you make that the Terraform created manually that should bring to the Terraform configurations, right? How will you do it?
The manually created resources must be
bring to the Terraform configuration files.
uh, like uh, uh, like we can do the Terraform import. Using the Terraform import, we can bring all the resources which are configured in the actual cloud environment into we can use the Terraform import for to do that. Yes.
So do you have aware about the data sources in Terraform? The data sources.
No, data sources. No, I am not aware of that. I have not worked on that. If I happen to work on that, then I'll be looking forward to it. But as a part of my work, I have not worked on that.
Okay. Can you
Yes.
explain me Terraform plan and Terraform apply?
Yes, Terraform plan. Whenever we write main.tf, then whenever we do the Terraform plan, it shows what changes are going to take place when the files are created without actually provisioning the resources. So this is what the Terraform plan is. And another thing is you asked about, Balchan?
Terraform apply.
Yeah, Terraform apply it applies the changes which are described in the Terraform configuration, and it creates or modifies or deletes the resources in the actual cloud environment. Terraform apply. It actually provisions the resources in the Terraform or in the AW or the cloud.
Okay. Can you please share the screen and write the EC2 instances by using Terraform?
Yeah, fine. Can you see my screen? One second. There is some issue with the sharing the screen. 1 second. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So we create a file called as we saved as main.tf, and then we have the provider block, and then we mentioned the AWS as a provider, and then we mentioned the region. And then we have the resource block. WS underscore instance and the name of the instance. And then we can give the AMI ID. can mention the count. Count is optional, but and then we have the instance type. Instance type equal to t2 dot medium, and then this will create an instance if we give the AMI ID and the count.
It's okay. If I have two resources like AWS instance and S3 bucket, I want to create S3 resources to be created first S3, then instances. How will you do that? If you apply the Terraform apply, it will create the instances sequentially. But I want to create the resources first S3, then the instance to be created.
First S3 and then no, Chandra, I don't have any idea, but basically I have not come across that situation, but I am not sure about how it can be.
It's okay. Like we need to define depends on keyword in S3 bucket. So it will create S3, later on it will create the instances.
Yeah, Chandra, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, can you explain in the Docker what is the difference between CMD and entry bucket?
In the Docker file, CMD and entry point both are the commands which whenever the container starts, these are the commands which are first executed. We can have multiple CMDs, but we cannot have multiple entry points. Entry points is the only one. If we have both together, then the CMDs become the arguments for the entry point. So these are the these are the commands which are executed first whenever the Docker container is run.
Okay. What is the difference between VMware and Docker?
Docker and
VMware.
Docker basically it is used for containerized applications. Docker is used for containerizing our applications along with the image, and then VMware is nothing but we are using on-prem, for example, on-premises only we have all the resources. We have the hypervisor which virtualizes all the host machine into multiple virtual machines, but it has the operating system of its own. But the Docker does not have the Docker containers will not be having the operating system of its own. And VMware are more secure, and Docker containers are less secure. Because of the VMware have their virtual machines have their own operating system, and therefore they are more secure, whereas the Docker won't be having. So they are VMware they take more time to boot up, whereas the Docker containers take less time to boot up. These are some of the differences I can recall between the Docker containerizing the applications in the Docker and the running the instances on the VM servers on the virtual machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does $# indicates in shell script?
$?
$.
$#, $#, it indicates the number of arguments which are passed. Yes. $? If the it indicates the status if the previous process is success or failure. If it is a zero output, then it is a failure. Then if it returns 0, then it is a success.
Okay, I'll come to the Like what are the activities you did in the Kubernetes, like operational activities?
Uh, Fine. As a DevOps engineer, the operational activities which I had done was there was a team which was constant. As I've told you, Kubernetes, we have used the on-prem environment only. We have used the bare metal, and we had created the master nodes and the worker nodes. We had installed the kubeadm, kubectl, and we had generated the token and joined the worker nodes, and there was instances wherein we had to update the versions of the patches. We had to update the kubeadm versions and the kubectl versions. So what we had done was we had in order to avoid the downtime, we had cordoned the nodes, the worker nodes, the master nodes other time, and then different times we had cordoned different nodes, and then updated the versions of this kubeadm, kubectl, and kubelets, and all the other version, and then we uncordoned them, so that they are back in action. By In this way we had updated we had done the patches.
Okay, suppose if an pod is corrupted, like how will you troubleshoot? Like where you check the logs for the pod, and how will you troubleshoot that?
There are different commands which we were running, kubectl get pods, kubectl describe pods, kubectl get events, using which we were able to get the logs and then troubleshoot the issues.
Actually, we have two commands. We have many commands for that. Like we can use kubectl logs, followed by the pod, and we can use the previous one.
Yes.
Along with that, we can use the kubectl describe, so it will give the complete detail of it.
Yes. Yeah.
We can check on this. And why we need the node affinity and anti-affinity? Do you have any idea about the affinities?
Yes, node affinity, say for example, if we intended to schedule our pods in specific nodes, then we make use of the node affinity. Say for example, some pods need to be scheduled in some particular nodes which have resources, they make use of many number of resources or CPU usage. Then we can make use of the node affinity. I have not used this as such in my work, but I have the basic understanding of how the node affinity is working. In order to schedule the pods in a certain set of nodes, then we make use of in certain type of nodes, then we make use of node affinity.
When it comes to the Jenkins, I want to schedule the job. If the first job is successful, then I want to schedule the another job. How will you do
that? We can do this in the post build actions. Fine. Say for example, whenever we create the job, we mention this GitHub this one, and then we mention the build triggers, and in the build triggers, we can mention that build this after the previous is successful. We can do this, and we can make the second job run after the first job.
Why we need a Nexus repository?
Sorry?
What are the advantages we use the Nexus repository?
The advantages of using the Nexus repository is we can store the artifacts in the Nexus repository securely. Basically, we had used it for the storage of the artifacts itself and making use of whenever we wanted to deploy.
Okay, suppose if there is a scenario you have deployed an application, you generated a WAV file and you deployed an application that is completely corrupted. I wanted to go to the previous version of WAV file. How will you do that?
In the case of Kubernetes, we can do the rollback to the previous version. We can do the whenever we deploy, we use the kubectl apply -f and deployment name .yaml file, and whenever we want to roll back, then we can use the kubectl rollback and then deployment name, and then we can roll back to the previous version.
What is the difference between the pod and deployment in Kubernetes?
The difference between the pod and deployment is like when we write the pod.yaml file, it will basically the pod will be having the container in it, and only we can schedule only one pod if we do the deployment, if we create a pod. And in case of deployment, we mentioned different things, like we mentioned the replica set, and we mentioned the basically in the we can match the select, we can do the we can use a selector, and in the pod spec we can mention the container and the ports in which it has to run. So we can the basic thing of deployment is that we can use the replica, so that if any pod crashes, then a new pod may be created in different nodes like that. So the basic use of that, this is the basic difference wherein we can, in the pod.yaml file, we can create only the pod, but in the deployment we can make use of the replica set as well, and the selector, so that the pods are created recursively, pods are restarted recursively, or it can be pods may be created if any pod crashes.
Okay, have you faced any troubleshooted related issue while creating the Jenkins pipeline?
Yes, say for example, what was happening was the issue which we were facing was once there was a pipeline which was running, which was taking too much time for the build, and later we came to know that the agents on which it was running was the agent was not sufficient for that build operation to take place. So what we did was we configured different agents, and then we troubleshooted that issue. That was one instance, and another instance was the version mismatch. Like for example, we were supposed to use the JDK 11 for Maven, and we were using JDK 8, and that was another thing. And during the Sonar Cube also, the credentials were mismatching, and later on figured out that the credentials were mismatching, and also the token which was created was expired, and then we revoked the token, and then we troubleshooted those issues.
Okay, there is a server which is running.
Yes.
It is unable to load the page. How you check the application logs? Where we get the application logs?
The application logs are found in the varlib Jenkins /workspace. From there we can check the application logs. Varlib Jenkins workspace, wherein the console output will be there stored.
When it comes to when it comes to the Ansible, why do we need inventory file?
Can you please come again?
Inventory, inventory. There is a file called inventory.
There are Ansible supports the dynamic inventory and the static inventory. Say for example, there are different groups of servers. Then all these groups of servers will be maintained in a file called as inventory file.
Okay. Have you created the cluster that you told, like in Kubernetes we have a master and worker nodes.
Yeah.
Have you installed the configuration for that? Or someone in your team used to install the configurations? Like the creation of master and worker nodes. Like from the scratch, you are the
No, there was a different team, but I am aware of how it is done. There was a separate team which was creating.
How to do the master and worker nodes like that? You have an idea of that?
Yes, I have the idea. Like, say for example, we create the instances depending on how many worker nodes and master nodes we require, and then we disable the firewall, become the root user, install kubeadm, kubelet, kubectl, and then we install the Docker to run the container. We require the Docker, and then we do the kubeadm init, and then kubeadm join, and we create the Docker on the master node, and then we do the kubeadm join on the worker nodes to join the cluster. Yeah, I have fair idea on how that works.